What is going on, everybody? What is going on? What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. It is January 2nd. Officially, New Year started. I always say, man, look, January 1st, New Year's Day, we had some great games yesterday. I don't know what the fuck that was from Bama, but hey, it was tough, but hey, it's gotta appreciate, I like the progress that we've made throughout this season. I really did. But with that being said, this isn't about Alabama right now. I wish it was, honestly, but it's not. I got a little bit of time here. I wasn't really planning on doing it. I was gonna do this later, but I'm like, you know what? I got time here. Let me just go ahead and do this right now, because we are being put in a very tough position right now as fans of this team. And let's make one thing clear. Regardless of what happens, I'll always be a fan of this team. I'll always root for this team. I'll always be going to the bands. I don't believe in the boycotting bullshit or any of that. But we're in a very tough position right now. The Falcons are. It's a position I don't think any of us thought we were going to be at. This is worst case. Jerry, man, I'm going to have to, we might be talking about the game later this week. So maybe tomorrow night I'm going to have to get in contact with Noah, and maybe I'll get in contact with some other guys. But we might talk about this game tomorrow or something, or maybe a little bit later this week. I don't know, man, but one way or another, Happy New Year to everyone out there. But we're being put in a very tough spot right now as fans of this team, and also the higher-ups in this organization are being put in a very tough spot right now, because this is – we weren't thinking about worst-case scenario. But I think this is beyond what worst-case scenario is. We have no answer at quarterback for next season. And granted, there's names out there, and there's guys in the draft, and we can talk about it. Michael Penix last night balled out. And if it weren't for the injury concern, I would have no problem at all with him being the quarterback next year. If he didn't, your best ability is your availability. But we'll talk all about that whenever the season does end, and especially when we find out who our next head coach is. Because that is the situation that we are faced with right now. We are faced with the possibility of being able to win our first division title in 7 years this Sunday down in New Orleans. We need a little bit of help from the Carolina Panthers, but nonetheless, there's a chance we can win this division. There's also a chance that by the end of the day on Sunday or early Monday morning, Arthur Smith's ass might be out of here. And I'm going to be completely honest. I really feel like it's either you win the NFC South or you get out at this point. I really do. Now, could we win in New Orleans Sunday and, Tampa Bay wins? That even puts us in a tougher position. Now, I'm just going to give everyone my honest thoughts on this situation. I am. Because we have been really, a lot of this fan base has been off the Arthur Smith train since the loss to Jacksonville. And that's really when, before that Jacksonville game, because we have to take a trip back down memory lane and think about how we have gotten here. Arthur Smith, his first 2 years, got a complete pass. And not only that, we were praising Arthur Smith for what he did, because regardless of if the schedule was easy, regardless of who we might have beat, look at those teams and what Arthur Smith was having to deal with his first 2 years here. He was having to deal, was having to deal his first year with Matt Ryan. Shout out to him. And Matt Ryan will be on the call for the game Sunday. He will be on the call for the game Sunday, which I think is going to be very interesting. With how big this game is, this game will determine Arthur Smith's future, in my honest opinion. I'll talk all about that in a second. But I don't think that's a coincidence. I think they really, someone phoned in and said, hey, we need Matt Ryan on the call for this game Sunday because we need to hear him and talk about this, because Matt Ryan was here when Arthur Smith came here. Matt Ryan, Falcons legend, best quarterback in franchise history, one of the best players in franchise history. But his first year, no disrespect to Matt Ryan at all, it just is what it is. He was not 2016 Matt Ryan. He wasn't 2018 Matt Ryan. He was a Matt Ryan past his golden years. He was slowing down. And then the fact that Arthur Smith had to deal with Julio Jones getting on national television saying, I'm out of there. He had to deal with Calvin Ridley, who was supposed to be the number one receiver, not wanting to play in his system, quitting on the team mid-season to go and gamble in Florida. That put that team in a very tough spot, and they still managed to win 7 games. Kyle Pitts got 1,000 yards. Now, granted, Matt Ryan was the quarterback, and I think we can all agree that even that Matt Ryan is miles better than what we've had overall this year at quarterback. But nonetheless, we got 7 wins his first year. We were in the playoff mix until the final few weeks. We were supposed to be absolutely awful with the roster that we had. With some of the games that we lost, how bad we performed at times. It's hard to think we were a 7-win team that year, but we were. Then 2022 rolls around. The year that really, I think, got a lot of us hyped, because I don't know if a lot of y'all remember, we were only supposed to win 2 to 4 games last year. We were supposed to be 2-15. That's what everyone was saying. 2-15, 4-13, 3-14. We're going to be absolutely awful. And we won 7 games. And we were in it for the division until the final few weeks. We had a 5-game, but before we went on a 5-game losing streak, we were firmly at the top of the division. And even still, when we did go on that 5-game losing streak, that during it put Desmond Ridder in for the final 4 games, which you can maybe say after the Thursday night loss in Carolina when Mariota did the grenade toss, that Ridder should have went in then. And yes, hindsight being 2020, that should have been the case. You would have got 3 more games. And then we'll talk about the other factor in it. But nonetheless, he won 7 games. But you know what was even bigger than him winning 7 games? First of all, wasn't a good roster. It was about 4 or 5 win rosters, and he won 7 games out of them. So if anything, they overperformed. We were looking at an Arthur Smith saying, "Oh yeah, just wait until he gets actual pieces in here. Just wait till you get a defense in here. Just wait until you shore up that offensive line. Wait till these receivers gel in. This team's going to be dangerous." But the biggest thing that came out of 2022 was Arthur Smith established a running game. We had a top 3 rushing offense in football. I think it was us, and then it was Philadelphia, who was in the Super Bowl last year. Those were the top 2 running teams in the NFL. We gave Tyler Algier the rock. We pounded and grounded. CP got the rock. Caleb Huntley, before he got hurt, got the rock. We were wearing teams down. We were playing physical football. It looked like we were establishing a culture. We were establishing a rhythm and an identity as a football team. And you started to slowly see improvement from the defense. And Ritter came in the final 4 games, and the first start in New Orleans, he didn't do good, but he improved every start. And we were like, hey, we got something. We got something. I'll never forget. I was leaving the Benz last year. It's the final game versus Tampa Bay. I was walking out of the Benz. I'm like, man, next season is it. The sucking is over. This is it. Yeah, we have done our time in the basement. We have done our time in mediocrity. This is it. We're about to take off out this motherfucker. We got all this money this offseason, and hey, all we need is for Ritter to get the ball into the hands of our playmakers. Hand the ball off. That's all we need. Yeah, make some plays here and there. But if you just run this thing right, you get now, after the season, one of the biggest factors that I don't think a lot of people look at is we lost our quarterback coach, Charles London, to Tennessee. And I really think that guy had a lot of part in what you saw from Desmond Ritter last year, and the fact that he didn't look absolutely awful. Now, granted, those final 4 games last year, he was also facing off against, especially the final 2 games, he was facing off against Arizona and a Tampa team that had already locked up the division. So, yeah, you can definitely say we were fooled in that aspect, but still, it was NFL defenses. We were hyped up. We're like, he's only going to get better. He sat. You would imagine he would have learned a thing or two from Mariota. Well, he sure did. We'll talk about it in a second. So, yeah, that's absolutely just, that is the way to look at this thing. We were hyped up. We were. Then the offseason came around, and the first thing we did was we got in a defensive coordinator from New Orleans, Ryan Nielsen, and we were all hyped from the start. We're like, man, look at, and we hate the motherfuckers, but look at that Saints defense. Look at how they've done. Look at how that D-line has dominated. You brought in Jerry Gray, a defensive backs guru. Like, man, this defense is really going to turn a corner. And free agency comes around, and we pick up Jesse Bates. We pick up Onyemata. We pick up Caden Ellis. We pick up Calais. We pick up Bud Dupree. We draft Bijan. I ain't gonna lie. At first, I was kind of a little bummed out because I wanted to complete that defense. I ain't gonna lie and say I wanted Tyree Wilson. And that motherfucker ain't done shit this year. But that's who I wanted before Vegas picked him up. And to be honest, I really kind of did want Jalen Carter. As I thought about the Bijan pick, I was very happy with it. Because I'm like, man, this completes this offense. It does. You have Bijan, that home run hitter. You have Tyler Algier, that ground and pound, battery ram, workhorse back. That's just going to wear the game down. So, yeah, man, we were so hyped. We went to the Benz, open practice, June. I don't think they had a training camp, but went to open practice, OTA's training camp, which anyone can look good in shorts, but we're like, damn, this shit can't come soon enough. And week 1 comes around. First Carolina. We dominate. We do. Defense, balls out. And the offense looked like how we expected it to look. Bijan made some big plays, and Algier wore the game down. Week 2. We had a comeback win versus the Packers that Ritter had a part in. And we're 2-0. We're like, oh, man, this is it. No one can fuck with us. We're only going to get better. Watch the fuck out. We went on a 2-game skid, and where the first alarm came into play was that game versus Jacksonville. That was the first big alarm that set everything off. That is where you win, because I don't know if y'all remember earlier in the year that those 2 games where you had Detroit and Jacksonville, you didn't see us go and establish a running game. You know what you saw? You saw them try to make Desmond Ridder a star quarterback. You didn't see them wearing the game down with Tyler Algier, using Bijan Robinson as the game wore down in the second half for those big splash plays. You knew if Bijan got the ball in his hand, still anything could happen, and that's still the case. But it was frustrating. And then we were coming back, and we were, what the hell is going on? And I even said after week 4, it looks like we've abandoned our identity. And a lot of people were done with Arthur Smith then. And I'm like, listen, there's still a lot of season left to go. It's better to do this now than do it when it actually counts. Then we came back and we got a nice win versus Houston. Ridder had the best game of his career. Then versus Washington comes around. Ridder throws 3 interceptions. Now, I will say, Washington had a stout front 4, but this is also, as much as that was on Ridder, it was on Arthur Smith, because that was another one where the ugly it reared its you-know-what. It reared itself, because Arthur Smith and Desmond Ridder in that offense, they had issues. They had issues with communication, issues with clock management. And that's where we lost that game. We tried to give away the game in Tampa. And then the skid came. The part where Arthur Smith, he turned that burner up. And he was on. Because then you went to Tennessee, you lost to Will Levis. You lost to Josh Dobbs, who hadn't even been there 4 or 5 days, didn't even know who the fuck he was throwing to. And you lost to Kyler Murray in your first game back in a year. And Arthur Smith knew going into this bye, here we are, we're 4-6 again. I got to do something. Something's got to change. And guess what? We come out the bye, and we get a nice win versus the Aints. Then we go up to New York. We get a win versus the Jets. We're 6-6. We're a full game ahead of everyone in this division. We're in the driver's seat. And the next 2 games we got coming up, we got Tampa Bay coming through to the bend, and we go up to Charlotte to face a 1-win Panthers team. Tampa Bay's fighting for their season. They're hanging on by a thread, and Carolina's just god awful. There is no reason why we should lose either of these games. And after that, we're in the driver's seat. Versus Tampa Bay, he decided to go play action inside his own 1-yard line. And those stupid mistakes that you made, the inefficiency, and granted, is this all on Arthur Smith? No. Yeah, players have to execute. But who's the shot caller? Who's the one calling plays? Who's the one giving the signal to Desmond Ridder? Giving the signal to Taylor Heineke? It's Arthur Smith. He's calling the plays. He is the head coach and play caller. Now, Dave Ragone is a dumbass, but Dave Ragone, now he has part in, basically, that is Arthur Smith's yes man. That is Dave Ragone's role. We'll lose that game to Tampa. And people want to blame the defense, but the thing with the defense is this. Have they let up? Yes. Has it been disappointing? Yes. But what has the offense done throughout the game to help the defense? Nothing. They ain't done a damn thing to help this defense. But then the point where we all said enough was enough. We all said enough was enough. I said enough is enough. We went up to Charlotte. to face a one-win Panthers team. And we had an opportunity to ice that game, and it was an ugly game. Weather was ugly. And you had an opportunity. You had points in the back of your pocket, and you had an opportunity to put that game away however it came. And guess what happened? Desmond Ridder threw the game away and threw his fucking career away. That was it. And see, notice how these things build off of each other. Notice how we thought early in the season it's better it happens now because we're only going to get better. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. And yeah, Arthur Smith, he called probably the best game of the season versus Indianapolis. Heineke in there. Heineke was finally in there because his ass was fighting for his job. And I also honestly believe that if anything, the Colts probably weren't taking us serious, but hey, it was a win. It was a Christmas Eve win. So we go up to Chicago, and we knew there was a possibility of ugly weather. It wasn't saying it was going to snow, but we always knew the possibility was there. And on Sunday, we looked absolutely unprepared to go and even play that game. And it was absolutely disgraceful. And there's been many building blocks to this. There has been. But with all this, we are now sitting for a third straight year staring down the possibility of 3 straight 7-win seasons. It's already confirmed we're going to have our 6th straight losing season. We've already clinched it. And it's sad. It's sad. Because this was supposed to be the year we were finally supposed to get it. Ridder absolutely bombed. Taylor Heineke is Taylor Heineke for a reason. He ain't no damn long-term answer. And we don't know what the heck. For all we know, Woodside can be the best quarterback on the team. But for some reason, Arthur Smith doesn't want to start him because his own ego is in his fucking way. Let's see. Alberto says, how's it going? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, man. You think Arthur was stubborn to keep Ridder to prove he was the one behind Tannehill's success in Tennessee? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, he was stubborn. Absolutely. He thinks that he is truly, and it is the billionaire son's mentality. You never have to grow up with struggle. You never had to grow up with he never had to go asking for, wanting. Everything was handed to him on a silver fucking platter. He didn't have to fucking worry about having a meal on the table. He didn't have to worry about finances. He didn't have to worry about college tuition. He didn't have to worry about if his kids were going to have to grow up without. Because he's got a trust fund waiting for him when his daddy dies. And Arthur Smith might be a great dude to hang out with. I'm not saying he isn't. But this is football. This is a business to a lot of people, but to other fans like me, this is serious. Because we love this team. We give our money to this team. We go to the bins every season. We actually pay to see this product in person. And it's frustrating when they go out and they find new ways to embarrass themselves year after year, week after week. But on top of all that, the biggest development now is that Arthur Smith might be losing that locker room. I don't know if a lot of y'all saw if you're on Twitter, I'm sure you did. Let me pull CP's Twitter up real quick. Go to Twitter, X, whatever they call it now. Let's go to this thing. Pull up CP. see. Let's get this thing. Here we go. Let's get this thing and shit. If y'all know CP, y'all don't know me. All right, here we go. Here we go. Now, for really much of his time here, and I really am not gonna count the Julio thing. I'm not gonna count Ridley either, even because to me, those were two guys that really didn't have much interest in being involved with this from the start. I don't care what happened, because those were two damn Quinns. They were. Julio was used to being able to basically take the week off, and it's just, we'll see you at there on Sunday. Ridley didn't want to block. He wanted to be a flashy receiver. I don't know if y'all know, whenever Calvin Ridley, whenever there was even a guy, and why do you think he's called Slide Red? Because whenever a seat, corner, whatever it could be, opposing defensive players come for him, he just slides. He's a pretty boy. He ain't all about getting in it, being rough and tough. So at the end of the day, my bad, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and try to pull this thing up. But as I was saying, those guys, Julio, Red, they didn't have interest in being here with Arthur Smith from the start. Matt Ryan out. Yes, we pushed Matt Ryan out the door, but that was an inevitability, in my honest opinion. It was. But this situation is different because you have now sold a lot of these guys. You sold a CP that he was going to be a focal point. He was going to have a role. That's what CP wants to play. He's frustrated. He's still here to play. And for the first few years, Arthur Smith was giving him the ball and he was making plays. Now, was he injured in the beginning of the year? Yes. But he hasn't gotten the ball at all, really. And forget. I mean, he didn't even touch the ball at all in Chicago. And that was his game Sunday. That was his game. That was a Tyler Algier game on Sunday. But instead, you saw them try to, and listen, I understand Bijan's going to get carries. He was a first-round pick. You invested a top 10 pick in him. And he's a very talented player. But another thing, too, why is it with Bijan, when you hand him the ball, the same 2 to 3 formations you hand it to him, the same 2 to 3 plays he gets the ball from? It's either that motion sweep or it's an outside zone. It's nothing else. It's those two same plays, and you don't have any creativity at all. You're not trying to get him on wheel routes. You're not trying to... Has Bijan even ran a Texas? I don't think so. Whenever he is a receiving option, it's either it's a screen pass or he's running out the flat. You don't see him running a Texas route. You really don't see him. The one time I can honestly remember him running the wheel route was when he got the touchdown versus New Orleans. That's it. But Tyler Algier, that's another guy. Algier house won 75 yards on Sunday.
And Bijan ain't even done that. What's Bijan's longest play of the year? What, about 30, 40 yards? Algier House went 75 yards to the house. He's supposed to be a fucking battery ram. That's what Bijan's supposed to do. But after that, that's all you saw from Algier. That was his game. That was CP's game on Sunday. You can get Bijan the ball, but get those guys involved. Would the result have been different? I don't know. But all I'm saying, those were their games. And you didn't give them an effort to get the ball at all. And that is where this locker room drama, this locker room tension is happening. Because it's not just us that are frustrated, that are done with Arthur Smith. It's the players. They're on social media too. And guess who else he might not be on social media? But he has people on social media. He has a son that is probably going to be, after he dies, running this damn show. He's on social media. He's pretty young. Josh is pretty young. If y'all know who Josh is, Joshua Blank, I did a whole piece about him. That's probably who your next owner's going to be. But yeah, that Arthur Blank has people on social media. And more so than that, Arthur Blank is seeing the result every Sunday. And he was sold on Ritter being the answer. And you basically, at this point, you played hot potato with the bullshit. You're playing hot potato with the quarterback position. It's insane, man. It really is. You're playing hot potato. Oh, shit. Ritter threw another pick. Let's go back to Heineke. Oh, Heineke threw 3 interceptions. Ritter, you go in there and you throw a pick. That was so fitting. That's why I say this is a clown show at this point. This is comedy. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're a bunch of dumbasses. We don't know what we're doing. Or Arthur Smith is lost in the land. He got no idea what he's doing at this point. But even with all of that, we still find ourselves in a situation where we can win this division Sunday. And it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. So at the end of the day, it's put us in a tough position. It's put a lot of fans in a tough position. Now, I'll go ahead and say this. I still want to win this division. I do. I know a lot of people are saying, and it could very well. It's going to raise even more questions about our future. It would. And the way I see it is, you win the division, that means you are keeping Arthur Smith. And whatever happens in the playoffs will happen, but it means that you're going to keep Arthur Smith here if you win the NFC South. Which, listen, we ain't made the playoffs in 6 years. We ain't won the division in 7 years. There's got to be a point where, are you really going to pass up that opportunity regardless? Because one way or another, we want to be a playoff team. We want to get to a point where we are contenders. Now, we're probably years away from that, but we at least want that experience. It's all the NFL. Nothing comes overnight in most instances. It's got to be built step by step, and getting that playoff experience is going to be very important, if nothing else, and getting it in our stadium. Now, would there be a lot of Falcons fans there? No, probably not. I'll tell you what, I'd definitely make an effort to go. But, yeah, and we would probably face the Eagles. There would probably be a lot of Eagles fans there, but why wouldn't you want to win this division? However, there's also people that just say straight up, lose. Now, if you're rooting to lose to the Yankees, straight up, if you are rooting for the Falcons to lose this Sunday to the Aints, yeah, I can't take you serious as a fan. I can't. Now, if you want to put it the way as, well, If we do lose to the Aints and Arthur Smith is fired, then okay, that's one thing. Do I want Arthur Smith fired? I didn't want it to come to this point. I really didn't. But I feel like it has to happen. It does. And if we lose Sunday, I feel like it will happen. Because I'm paying attention to a lot of stuff we're hearing about Arthur Blank right now. I'm paying attention to the actions we hear he's taking. He's denying to speak to the media. He did the 3-minute interview with Georgia Public Broadcasting because he felt like he knew he had to. He knew he had to. Okay, we just lost to the worst team in football. I gotta say, we're gonna be committed to him to the end of the year, and then we'll evaluate from there. That's it. Listen, I truly, honestly think that this decision will be nailed down or not by how this team does in New Orleans, and if we win this division. That is what this entire situation is going to be dictated by. If we win the NFC South on Sunday, that's going to be, because if we do, then yes, Arthur Smith will stay. If we don't, and if we lose to the Saints, I think he's gone. And I think it would be warranted. Because he did it to himself ultimately. He's the one that decided to ride with Desmond Ridder. He's the one that, when Taylor Heineke came... Now, is Taylor Heineke much a good competition? No, but... it was... Taylor Heineke, what are you supposed to do? Bring in about a Tyrod Taylor, bring in a Jacoby Brissett. That's about what Taylor Heineke is. So, you could have easily had a competition. But no. You gave Ridder the keys to the city. The keys to this offense. And he went and he crashed it not once, but twice. And you're relying on your insurance, which was Taylor Heineke. But when your insurance fucks up, now you're fucked up. Because you got to deal with a big loss. Now, I will go ahead and say that I feel a very different way than I think I have felt most of this situation. I felt like Arthur Blank will keep Arthur Smith. And I feel like if we win Sunday in New Orleans, he will. But I feel like if we lose, he's probably gone. And he should be gone. 3 straight 7-10s is not going to cut it. Especially when you look at Mike Smith got fired after 2 losing seasons. And if anyone deserved the benefit of the doubt, it was Mike Smith. Because he got us to 5 straight winning seasons, playoffs 4 out of 5 years, 2 number 1 seeds, got us to the NFC Championship. We were on the goal line. We were about to go to the Super Bowl in 2012. And 2 years later, Mike Smith got fired. 2020. Dan Quinn got fired midway through the season. Now, it was time for Dan Quinn to get fired because Dan Quinn already got that one more season from Arthur Blank where it's okay. And that would be the situation with Arthur Smith next year. If he is, and I feel like anything is possible, you don't know how Arthur Blank is thinking. Because past history has judged that he's been lenient with his coaches, at least recently with Dan Quinn. Now, he wasn't as lenient with Mike Smith. He wasn't. I really think he was lenient with Quinn because Quinn got us to a Super Bowl, and then he got us back to the playoffs the following year. And that's what he was able to hold on to until there was nothing else to hang on to, basically. Arthur Smith has nothing to hang on to. Nothing. Oh, well, we're almost there. We're almost, look at some of the games. What do you mean almost there? What do you mean? You're 7-10. You can't win the worst division in football 2 straight years. I write all these checks for you to go out and get all these guys. And this defense balls out. I get you all your offensive players, and you still can't get us over the hump. That's what I'd be thinking. And then some people might ask, well, where's Terry Fontenot coming with this? Does Terry have a completely spotless, clean record so far? No, Terry's made his hiccups. Terry has taken his bumps. Look at that first draft class. Took his bumps. I mean, you want to talk about Pitts? I mean, Pitts very well might not be on this team next year. I don't know if he wants to be here. I really don't. You might have to start considering Kyle Pitts a bust. Because there have been many times this season where I can point out Pitts has just given up. Given up running routes, which he's never been a good route runner. But he's just completely sold on routes. He's just doesn't look like he has a motivation. Richie Grant is a bum. God, Mayfield's ass isn't even here anymore, but he was an absolute bum. I swear he wanted to get Matt Ryan killed. Dahlman is a 50-50 bag of chips that 1 week he might look all right. He has skills, but he's snapping the damn ball to the ground most of the time. Darren Hall isn't even, I don't even think he's on the team anymore. African dude with the African, Ogundeji. He's did nothing. He wasn't able to get on the field much these past few years. Avery Williams is the only one who had any meaning to this team, because look at our punt return game now. Absolutely awful with D. Alford and the other bum that's back there. Who is it? Hughes? They can't return punts the way Avery Williams could. So hey, that first draft class was awful, but Terry's made improvement. He has. And he's put us in a good position. He's gotten us pieces. It's up to Arthur Smith to cook. Terry went out and he's gotten the groceries, and it's been the right groceries. It's up to Arthur Smith to make the proper recipe, to execute the recipe to perfection. And he's absolutely bombed on it. So Terry should have a great say in who this next coach is. He should. He should be able to go out. He should be able to get a feel for the environment and report back to Mr. Blank about it. So at the end of the day, that's where we stand. It's Arthur Smith has no one to blame but himself. And I see a lot of criticism from Arthur Blank, and it should be warranted. It should. Arthur Blank is not as cutthroat as I think he could be as an owner, as cutthroat as he needs to be. Now, he don't need to be fucking David Tepper, going out firing a damn coach every year just because he feels like it, just because he woke up on the wrong side of the bed, throwing drinks at fans. But you can't be too nice, and I really honestly get the vibe that Arthur Blank is done being nice. He tried to be nice. I think he gives the benefit of the doubt in the same amount of time to each coach. He said, remember, third year of a 3-year plan. And the bottom line is, Arthur Smith has bombed with this third year. He's about to cost himself a job. So with that being said, yeah, I truly think that for the first time, it is very likely that if we lose in New Orleans, Arthur Blank is going to write Arthur Smith's parting papers. And he'll be no more here. He can go back and be wherever Mike Vrabel's going to be, whether that's Tennessee, or he can go and he can host McAfee. Or if none of that works out, he can just go and fucking work at FedEx Corporate for his daddy. Because he ain't hurting for money anyway. Arthur Blank has to act because not every fan's going to be like me. A lot of people aren't going to pay for season tickets anymore. A lot of people are very frustrated with how this season is going because they drank the Kool-Aid. They went to training camp, went to the bins all preseason, went the first few games. They were excited. There wasn't much excitement around the Falcons, at least since the Super Bowl. And look how it's going. So yeah, it's put this team in a very tough spot. Now I hope we can win the division. I do. But if we don't win the division, Arthur Smith needs to be gone. And is that the worst thing in the world? I'll go ahead and say it. No, it's not. Because the dude's not going to work out. Regardless, there needs to be change. Regardless, there will be change at quarterback. There will be change for much of this offensive staff. And Arthur Smith is a big problem. He's probably the biggest problem to the equation. You look at how the development in Desmond Ridder went. You even look at how Heineke has looked. You got to put that on Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith is the one calling plays. So yeah, it's a tough spot. It's a tough time, even though we still have a chance. And I want to win the division. I do. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Do I think we'll go down to New Orleans and beat the Saints on Sunday? I think anything can happen when it's the Falcons and Saints. I'll always keep that statement. But with that retweet from Cordarrelle Patterson that shows his frustration and how probably much of a locker room leader CP is, you know the frustration is building. So with that being said, if we're to go down there and lose Sunday, I feel like Arthur Smith is done. And he should be. And with that being said, that is it. I will be going live later this week to talk Falcons Saints. And then Sunday, you know what? I might stream the game Sunday. I'm not for certain, but I might even stream the game Sunday. But I don't know. I might want to actually listen to Matty Ice and his analysis on everything. So I don't know. I might want to actually listen to Matty Ice because I feel like this is going to be a very interesting spot for him to give his intake on this game and this entire situation. With that being said, appreciate you all for watching. See you guys in the next one.